Hi, I'm Justin Barrett. I'm president of Blueprint 1543. I'm a psychological scientist and a former university professor. And today, on this episode, I'd like to talk about food preparation, the missing love language. In a previous episode, I talked about the love languages that Gary Chapman had proposed, ways that we can express and receive love to each other, what kind of their status is scientifically. And what I argued is that we can heuristically use those as ways to increase our ability, our fluency with loving each other, even if they don't function really like languages. And even if we can think of them more like tools that we've got that we can bring out for certain occasions and get good at using them. But I suggested in that episode that maybe there's at least one missing from his list. What was Chapman's list of 5 love languages? Well, gifts, giving and receiving gifts, acts of service, affectionate touch, quality time, and words of affirmation.
And you beautiful, naive, sophisticated newborn baby. What?
But I think there's actually a 6th that is that's very basic to us, maybe even more basic than some of those, like words of affirmation.
And I always forget because you're so pretty, you're not used to rejection.
And that's actually giving each other food.
Saved them.
That's great. Good job.
Very good job.
Watch it. They're still hot.
My kids sometimes joke that in a previous life I was, I don't know, a Mexican mother or something. I like to make food and feed people. And I do. It's one of the primary ways I try to show care to other people. And I don't think this is just a weird thing about me. It's essential to our sociality. I noticed that in both Robert Boyd and Joe Hendrick's interesting books on human cultural evolution, how did we become the kinds of successful animals we are, they both use an example, as I recall, of the complexities of making certain types of foods in certain kinds of environments, that it takes a whole lot of passed on knowledge. So just think about preparing acorns for food consumption.
Did you eat the acorn?
Squeaker, squeak, squeak, squeaking.
Most of us don't realize that, yes, lots of people ate acorns. We realize that part, but what we don't realize is it takes a lot of steps in food preparation to keep acorns from being toxic. You can't just, find an acorn, eat it, and then repeat over and over again, or you'll make yourself sick, and sometimes very, very sick. Even corn, eat too much corn without it being prepared the right way, and you end up with certain kinds of vitamin deficiencies and so forth. Well, that cultural knowledge gets passed down socially. So food preparation itself is a form of transmitted cultural or social knowledge that we have to learn from other people. And that's just the preparing of the food, let alone procuring the food, identifying which foods are poisonous versus not, what are good ones to eat under certain circumstances, during certain seasons, prepared certain ways, which ones go together well. There's a lot of knowledge that we have to acquire from each other that helps bind us together as local groups, that sharing, that giving and receiving of information around food, something that's essential to our existence. So food is deeply social. And that's setting aside the most obvious case, which is breastfeeding. Right? So babies come into the world, they need fed. They get fed intimately by their mothers through that physical contact, which releases bonding hormones in both the babies and the mothers, gives immune system boosts to both, and so forth. So that there's something about food that not only just keeps us alive, but it's deeply and intrinsically a social type of thing for humans. It's what brings us around a table to sort of commune together and interact with each other. But we're losing this art of food preparation. I was sharing this recently with a colleague in my travels, and he's like, oh yeah, because he was a good cook and he was hosting me and making food for me. And I'm like, well, you're really good at this, but it's kind of a dying art. And he brought up the microwave oven. I hadn't made that connection. I thought about other sorts of things, but I think he helped me see, oh yeah, the microwave, which started becoming much more common in homes in much of the world in the 1980s, it changed the way we do food. We don't have to prepare food for everyone. That communally brings us together, but everybody can microwave in a very short amount of time their particular favorite meal. Well, then it's about them. It becomes much more individualized, as opposed to me as the primary food maker in the home, trying to figure out what's going to meet the needs as a meal of everyone in the family who might have different nutritional needs. They might have different energy needs. They've got different kinds of things they need to do with that fuel that we're putting in their bodies, as well as just different preferences. And while it's tougher for me as the food maker to take into account all of those different preferences and needs, what it helps me to do is care for all of the members of my family individually, to get into their spaces, to think about what is it that they need. And that helps me exercise what's called perspective taking. I put myself in their situation. Well, that's a key of having good, loving relationships, is being able to take the perspective of others. And so my contention is making food for other people is a very natural context in which I exercise my perspective taking ability if I'm doing it well, because there are so many different variations in terms of people's tastes, preferences, and needs. I need to take those into account if I'm going to prepare food well. So there's something really intrinsically social, yes, about food preparation, but it's also a natural place then to express love and care for the people around me, the people that I love. And so it makes me think, all right, food preparation should be on that list of different love languages, and let's cultivate that one too. There's something really valuable about us not just learning to prepare food for ourselves and for economic reasons. Certainly all of that's true. And so that we can make foods that don't have all of these weird additives and strange ingredients that we don't really need to have, but were put in there for preservation purposes and so forth. Those are good reasons to make your own food too. But maybe above and beyond all of these is the ability to have a skill to express love to other people. This isn't just, water for chocolate kind of stuff, kind of love through food making, but all of our food making when we're serving other people, right, gives us that opportunity to express genuine care in a personalized, important, sort of fundamental to our existence kind of way. So that's my little suggestion about food as one of the love languages, maybe the missing love language that we ought to invest a little bit more in. I hope that you find these reflections helpful. I hope this encourages you to try out your culinary skills and to share that with other people and enjoy the benefits of loving people and being loved through food. Thanks for joining me. Please give me suggestions of topics you'd like to hear me talk about. Otherwise, subscribe, like, share the link with other folks who you think might be a good part of our conversation. Thanks very much. Have a great day.